Okay, top of the hour. We'll do a little screen sharing. Make sure that you can see me. Can you see that, Avish?
Yep, now I got it.
Cool. Okay, so first thing, I had an interesting call yesterday. So I got a call from a guy who is call from a guy who is in the electrical engineering biz. What he does is he gives seminars for other engineers, and he also gives seminars for electricians. Does training for those, does a little bit of consulting, et cetera, et cetera. So what I did, I asked him to send me, a little bit more about him, send me his website, and give me a little bit of background about what he was doing. So I had about a 20-minute conversation. All of this was initiated by him going to, and we might as well show people here, seminar marketing expert.com. He went to this site, he saw this free consultation, he left a message at this 702 number here, and that's how I got in touch with him. Now the interesting thing is, and Avish, I think you've done this pretty well, which is I like the idea of having this free consultation set up, and I also like the idea of having various kinds of Google numbers set up. This is a Google number that if you go there, it then sends an email with the transcript and the recording of the voicemail message that was left, and you get it. So if you haven't done that with your Gmail account, good thing to do. Even set up multiple ones like that. And the idea of giving people the free 15-minute consultation, what it usually works out to is people sort of giving you, there's enough time for them to sort of outline what their situation is, which he did. And at the end of the outline, my philosophy is to, number one, and this is so when I get a free consult call, I do the following. Number one, listen and don't interrupt for the most part. Then number two, I assess whether or not this person would be difficult to work with. If the answer is no, then I sort of do number three, which is assess whether the situation might be profitable. And then number four, I suggest he or she send me more info, and I will respond with a proposal. Now, when I say proposal, what I really mean is a contract. So I basically send him my one-page JV agreement, which says I'll do this and he'll do that. And so what I did was throughout the call, I threw out some dummy numbers. And I said, first thing I said was there was a few things that I think were done correctly that anybody could use who's doing this. Number one is I looked for matching background items. So what I found was, number one, he was calling from San Antonio. His name was Ruben, and therefore, I spoke some Spanish to him. So that sort of helped. Number two, since Sabrina, my wife, went to MIT, I also mentioned the whole engineering background that she has, as well as the fact that, and this is not made up, is that I seem to get along best with engineers and lawyers. And I was talking to Sabrina about this, and she said it's probably because of their sort of left brain orientation. So I've sort of pointed out all the reasons why we may have a reason to work together. I then put out and gave number four, some dummy numbers. By dummy numbers, I meant I wanted to illustrate to him how I work. So what I said was, let's assume that you contracted, we decided to work together, and you gave me $1,000 a month to get going. I said, first off, please don't expect any big things to happen until 12 to 18 months. And I got agreement from him that that was acceptable. I got him to agree that that was okay in terms of timing. So I put out the dummy numbers of $1,000 a month, and I said, look, let's just say that for 6 months you paid me, so you paid me $6,000, and you have made zero. Now, month seven, for somehow, some way, we bring in $20,000. I said my compensation is, once things get going, is strictly based on results. So number one, first thing is that you would immediately not have to pay me any of that 20,000, but we would immediately subtract 20,000, subtract out the $6,000 you paid me, and again, these were all dummy numbers, and that would equal obviously 14. And then I said, assume that we work on and you know what? I think I screwed this up now that I'm talking about it. God. Yeah, I think I did. Oh, man.
Did you do?
Oh, boy. I think I screwed. You know what? Well, let's see what happens. I think I said to him, assume we work on a 20% percentage, which is not what I would do. So I said you would pay me $2,800 that month. And you know what? My point was in trying to do this illustration for him was to make sure that the amounts that I gave him, and in this case, I was correct in the amounts in terms of what I'm going to show you here, but I was incorrect on the percentages. So when I actually got back to him with the proposal, I told him that, and this is where I screwed this up with him. So I told him instead of $1,000 a month in the contract, it says $750. So he looks at that and goes, "Oh, it's less than the $1,000 that he used as his example." However, all the JV arrangements are 50-50. So now I'm totally hosed. Oh man, I screwed that up. So
So
what I
on the
should
phone you told him 20%, and in the proposal you told him 50%.
Yeah, because I told him, the thing that I told him is I said, what I try and do is make it so that, and this is, I think, an important point, is since I'm doing JV work with a bunch of different people, I try and make the numbers the same. Because I don't want you talking to Bill DeWeese, talking to other people, going, hey, what's your deal with Fred? And have it be different. I want it to be the same.
Yeah.
So now that I've screwed this up, in the proposal it says there's a 50-50 split. So now, unless he forgot my example, I'm kind of screwed. But you know what I won't do? I won't go back and change the 50-50 to something else, because that would be unfair to other JV partners, and I never want to get into a situation where we get together as a group and everybody's deal is different. I want everybody's deal to be the same, because I think that's the way to go. I think if you're going to do this kind of thing, but everything that I've illustrated here, I think is worth looking at and repeating. First off, looking for matching background items. So he's obviously from, he speaks Spanish. I could tell from his name as well as his accent. Spoke a little Spanish with him. Told him a little bit about sort of my simpatico with engineers, and that Sabrina was an MIT trained person. And then I put in the dummy numbers, and I screwed up on the percentages. But I think that all those things serve to make it so that when, now I just can feel the email that's going to come back at me that says, dude, what's the deal? You said it was 20% as the example. So the point of the example was, what I should have done here is instead of 20%, I should have said 60%. So then when I come back to him with a 50-50 deal, he goes, oh, that's a lot less than 60%.
Right.
But, but anyway, this method of doing it works great. Also, Avish, you'll be interested to note that I've got a couple things going back and forth with Jeff Bigelow from Speak Inc. in San Diego regarding a guy, somebody who needs a speaker here in Vegas, coming up sometime next month. And he asked me for my net local rate. And by this, he says basically when a speakers bureau asks you for your net rate, excuse me,
This.
excuse me, when they're asking you for a net rate, they're asking you for how much do you want to take out of this deal. Speakers bureau then adds whatever they want to make, and that's their deal. So, and a net local rate presumes that you're going to charge them less because it's right there in your hometown. So I gave them a net local rate, I think, for 2 hours of $4,500. And so if they want to charge the client $8,000, they can take the other, whatever they want to take. This is my net rate that I gave them. So when you're dealing with a speakers bureau and you hear the term, what's your net rate or what's your net local rate? The net rate just says, what do you want to make out of this deal, whether you're doing it in Philadelphia and Oshkosh or in St. Petersburg, Russia. And the net local rate assumes that because you don't have to get on an airplane, you will charge them less. In my case, absolutely. I would prefer to not have to ever, get on another airplane again except for pleasure travel. Because I was just looking at my American Advantage account. Total I have in the system is like 3.7 million miles. I have,
Jeez.
yeah, I don't really, you know what, though, compared to Tony Alessandra, who's probably got over 20 million now, I just have no interest in continually getting on airplanes. So this is the net rate. Have you heard those terms before, Avish?
Yeah.
Yeah. And have you been asked for a net local rate before?
I haven't. The bureau stuff I've got inquiries about has always been out of town.
Got it. So anyway, that's an issue as it relates to speakers bureaus, and that's one of those things that that you can work with as well. Now, the other thing is, and this is where now let's get into a separate issue. I feel like I should erase the blackboard here. So if you haven't seen these, I'll just go to the. So the other thing is blogging and SEO results. So let me ask you, Avish, what have your numbers been? I know you had, you took a little vacation, et cetera, et cetera. Have you seen any change or movement in your numbers?
No, 2 weeks ago, the numbers were about the same or a little bit down. This week the numbers are skewed because yesterday I did a teleseminar where I was the guest with another speaker who has like a marketing list for speakers. So he interviewed me, and of course we drove people to the site. So yesterday alone we got like 120 visitors to the site. That's obviously not SEO or organic.
Yep.
But we got a good number of signups, so I'm hoping some of those turn into sales.
Good. So there were, and how long was the webinar?
About an hour.
And what was the topic?
Marketing for speakers who hate marketing.
Sounds good. And yeah, so it drove 110, 120 people?
Yeah, plus the replay was sent out today, so we're seeing some more signups coming in today. So
good.
It was good, but it kind of skews the numbers in terms of tracking how well the blogging thing has been doing.
Good. Now, did you remember what we talked about that one time in terms of creating a sort of a bundled package?
Yes. I don't think I did anything with that, but I know we talked about it.
Yeah, I think that might, I just think of the whole Bill DeWeese thing, and I've got to make a note to myself to remind Bill, who of course is just, he did in the week that he got that gig where they picked up his thing for Europe. He did close to $20,000 in 1 week in voiceovers, but that's skewed because of the big number for Europe. But I think that this begs the question, like, how do you, how do you create an irresistible offer at any/all price points? And to me, I mean, what I think is we need to be thinking about what can we do to get people. The hardest thing to get people to do is make the first purchase. And so maybe what we need to do is think about something where we can offer something at some ridiculously low price. I mean, even like $10. Because if we can get people to pull out their credit card and buy once, if they're happy with what they get, they can buy it again. So here's my suggestion. Let's do this. Let's take one of our products that relates to this group, and let's say, for example, it's now one of our products I think is probably old enough we can do this. We can say, we are going to be re-recording this product, and for the next 48 hours, you can get it for $10. Let's get people to give us money and pull out their credit cards for something. Now, that then begs the question, okay, so here's my next question, Avish. Are you in a position, and this is what I'm thinking is what we should do, is what I'm doing with Bill DeWeese. I'm going to be in New York starting on May 30th through June 4th. Any possible way you may be able to take the train from Philly to meet me, and so that we could knock out at least another couple niche-oriented products?
That is actually probably the worst block of dates for me.
Really?
Yeah, well, that is actually my birthday that weekend, so we have like 3 things planned, including my parents coming down and stuff.
Oh,
and then I have a meeting that Monday.
When's your birthday again?
That Friday, the 31st.
31st. Okay, well then that's a hell of a legitimate excuse. Yeah, because I'm thinking that one of the things, 2 things here. Number one is this, to try and find a legitimate way to create an inexpensive product, get people pull out their credit card. The other thing I'm thinking of is the bundled sort of everything package. And that's the thing that I think we were talking about before. And that applies to Bill DeWeese as well, which is, by the bundled everything package, let me just go over what, for Bill, it was record your demo. Let's start out with I think it was 30-minute consult, record your demo. Then it was 30-minute create your marketing plan. And then it was all the products we have so far. So what I was trying to do is make it so that we could create something. And this one, let's assume that he's getting $150 for this, and $150 for this. And the demo I think he's doing for like $1,200. And all the products so far, if you would add those up, those are definitely like over 1,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to put together something, and it doesn't really matter what the number is, but whether this is $14.97 or $19.97 or $24.97, whatever it is, it's got to be something where people go, holy crap, this is an incredible value. And creating sort of, and especially as the example of voiceover artists, I think we could do the same thing for speakers. And with speakers, so this would be basically 30-minute consultation. So, let me hear your voice. What are you good at? Let me give you a couple samples. And I go back, I create, find some scripts that are relevant. I record your demo for you. I polish up the demo. The demo is done. Now the question is, and the next thing is, so this would be include like website creation, perhaps. So we're going to try and make this a turnkey operation for the people who get involved. So let's try and do the same thing now for speakers. So we probably would use, let me just take what we have here and copy it. This is for speakers now. 30-minute consultation, yes, that would be good. Help in creating your demo video, whatever that, and again, the numbers, let's leave those out. Then maybe two 30-minute create your marketing plans, website creations, all products so far, something like this, which is a bundled package for, X number of dollars. And I think that a combination of getting them in the door with the $10 and having this kind of like all-in-one package is pretty good. But again, there's no real downside to doing this. Now, and what as far as speakers, anything I'm leaving out here, you think, in this, if we're trying to create a bundled package?
Well, it's hands-on, the whole, the speech itself help with, structuring the presentation.
Okay, so that would probably before. Yeah. So what I'm thinking of is that I think that a lot of times when people don't like to buy a la carte. They prefer to get, to buy the package. If they find the people they want to work with, they're willing to do that. And so this is another thing. And also, just to let you know, have you checked out Scarcity Samurai?
Not since you sent it out the first time. That's the one with kind of the clock, the time thing.
Well, yeah. In other words, check out Scarcity Samurai because I own the license to that all of my JV partners can use. So you don't need to buy it.
Oh, cool.
So if there's, check it out, and I would encourage you because the results they're getting are pretty good. I've got to start to put it in on my, a bunch of my sites, but that's something that you have at your disposal at no charge.
Cool. Yeah, we'll look at that.
Yeah, because I'd be curious to see where you see, possible implementation points for that as well. Any thoughts?
No, I'm not going to watch this video. I'll take a look at that. So, I mean, this bundle thing sounds good. It sounds like, I want to consider some of the specific offerings, but overall, since it's mostly service-based, it's no skin off our back to put it up and see what kind of results we get.
And the other thing that I'm thinking of, Avish, is we also may want to, I think that Bill and I, he's actually coming out here. You know what? Why don't you see if you have that time free as well? I know you won't want to go. As part of the deal here, I bought a package to get some golf lessons for us, although you're certainly welcome to come. I'm sure you'll be just delighted to do that in 110 degrees.
Sure. You want me to be the caddy, right?
But here's the thing that I'm thinking of. Why don't we try and, in fact, I'll ask, Bill's going to be okay with this, but let me just see the calendar. I've got, you know what, I'll give you the dates, but I know that the dates are somewhere towards the end of August. So what is your schedule? It's like August 22nd through the 26th or something like that. So maybe what we can do is we can make that into, because what Bill and I are going to be doing when he comes out there is, comes out then, recording 4 niche products for VO, for voiceover folks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be something that we could do as well. I just like the idea of creating more of those, sort of niche-oriented. And again, it's almost like we're recording the same program 4 times, but we're just using different verbiage. And that's what Bill and I intend to do. So with every group that we're doing, we're doing. Oh, did I tell you that one of my high school buddies, who's on my Fred Gleeck, my Facebook page on Fred Gleeck, sat in on one of the webinars, and 2 weeks later, had already made money doing voice work.
Really?
Yeah. And this guy that I knew, he was a couple years younger than me. His name was Richard Lang, and Richard, it's pretty interesting. He sends me this thing. He goes, "Oh, by the way, after sitting in on that and buying one of the products, I ended up getting a job." I was like, "Wow, that's cool." So I told him definitely get back with Bill and give him a testimonial. But
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool that was able to happen. So anyway, my thought is that you and I record or see if that's a good time, or just to come out and to hang, to do nothing. And I'll bet the flights are going to be cheap because Vegas is so lovely in August.
Yeah, just looking at the dates. I got one booking at the end of the month, but other than that, it's pretty open.
Okay, cool. Well, I'd love to have you. See if you can do it. If Amanda wants to come out as well, that would be great. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking so far here. This is a bunch of things. Let's. I don't really. Is there anything else? Now, the other thing I should talk to you about is this: is that let's go back and erase the blackboard here. Um, SEO using 4 times daily blogging results. Um, and right now, I have to say that I remain skeptical, but hopeful. So again, it is now almost at the end of month 5. I always ask Stanley to send me the data, and I have not seen over the past 5 months, comparing it to the 12 months previous, any noticeable, appreciable, or significant, statistically significant movement in terms of the number of visitors to the site. This is disappointing. But given that I live in reality and not in fantasy, I'm not going to tell people that they should be doing this if it's not working. And for me, it has not worked yet. And I will be fairly annoyed if after doing exactly what I was told, my results are 0. What I will immediately, let's talk about what will happen if nothing does happen. First off, anything that I have created or associated with someone who gave me that information will immediately be, I would no longer want to be associated with a product or a concept or a website or anything in which the results did not work for me. Because I certainly can't, with a straight face, recommend that people use a system that I used that didn't work. Right. That now I know that I'm in a minority in the information marketing business here, folks. But I actually do not want to be trying to sell something that doesn't work, especially if it didn't work for me. So it's kind of concerning to me that that I have not gotten any significant results. Now, naturally, it has created a lot of content on my site. I don't know how many total pages I have up now, but it's probably close to 1,500 pages on fredgleeck.com. I know there's probably some way to actually figure that out, but I don't remember what it is. I could go into the back office, I guess, of my WordPress site, and it would give me total pages, right, Avish?
Yeah, I mean, I do a little math, but for the most part, the dashboard lets you know how many pages and posts you have.
Yeah, but for right now, like I said, I'm skeptical but hopeful, and I was told that in 4 to 6 months, so we're right in the middle of that 4 to 6 months right now. We're at about 5 months at the end of this month, and I have not seen any huge jump. It's as if, from the numbers that I've looked at, Avish, that literally nothing has changed. And frankly, that not only pisses me off, it kind of confuses me, because you would think with as much additional content that's being added every day, holy crap, something should be happening, right?
Yeah, I mean, you would think even if it wasn't a magic bullet that you would just the volume would increase.
Yeah, I mean, somewhat, but again, that's it is what it is. So that's sort of a drag. Let's see. Well, let me see. Tom has a question here. Yeah, are you using any of the SEO keywords? Yeah, Tom, I'm following someone who has given us this information, who had very good results for himself. I don't know exactly, if I have asked him to take a look at my posts to make sure that there's nothing wrong. And apparently, when I first asked that question into month 3, he said, "Yeah, it looks fine." But as of right now, I'm not getting, I'm not getting squadouche, as they say. Um, so there you have it. Oh, by the way, just to let people know, I do a lot of coaching. I do a lot of stuff with JV partners, etc. Um, in about 3 hours from now, I have someone coming over to my house here in Vegas to spend 2 hours with me who was one of the poker pros at one of the seminars I was at. And I'm paying him, he first said $300 minimum, or $150 an hour, 2 hour minimum. So I got him, negotiated him down. I'm getting him for 260 total. That's 130 an hour for 2 hours. And my point here is that I don't care what you're doing. If you want to learn how to do it, pay someone who's already done it. It's generally worth the money. And Avish, I'm going to call you after this call, and
Hmm.
let me see. I've got another question from David here. Have I heard of scrape box? David's asking. You know what? Just beware of those link building programs or processes, David, because what I understand from people in the know is that Google tends to slap any artificial link building pretty hard. I'm not sure exactly if that's one of those sites, or exactly how Scrapebox work. Have you heard of that, Avish?
I
Scrapebox?
have not, no.
Haven't either. Yeah, I'm sure it's a tool. There's It may be a tool to try and legitimately build links, in which case I think that's good and fine. I'm just not sure because way back I did pay, I think, for some links at one point, and thank God I didn't do a lot of it because if you do it, oh, Dave, is it legitimate? I have no idea. My guess would be no, given that 95% of all the stuff that's on the web regarding increasing traffic is not legitimate. That would be an understatement. 98% of all the stuff on the web regarding traffic increase is not legitimate. What is it? I have no idea. You brought it up. I have no idea what it is. Never heard of it. Don't know of it. I'm just giving you general answers to it. But if it's a link building tool, chances are